Guess what, golfers? Vegas isn't just casinos and pool parties. In fact, there are 50 golf courses within a 15-mile radius of the Strip, all boasting beautiful desert oasis landscapes. So, if you're looking for a break from the action, consider hitting the links. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Donnie, the season is 6 months. 5 if you check out in September. You're gonna have a bad month. The Yankees had a horrible month, that is true. But beyond that, their regular season looks okay. They're gonna win their 90 games or maybe a little bit more and get to the postseason. What is everybody freaking out about?
Everybody freaks out. It's a Yankee tax and Yankee fan tax as well, where every single season you enter into the equation going like, it's championship or bust.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Remember these names: AZ Fudd, Olivia Miles, Lauren Betts. Depending on who wins that lottery, that's going to depend on who goes what. If Washington wins, it's Fudd. She's from the area. If Dallas wins, they're going to bring Fudd to play with, obviously, Paige. If Minnesota wins, I think they go Miles with the point. If Seattle wins, they go with Miles, and the same thing with Chicago.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
College football can't allow Notre Dame to have the type of, year they have and schedule they have, and honestly put them up against other teams. Because Notre Dame looks like they're going to be a decent football team. They could lose, I think, next week to Texas A&M, Joe. Right. I don't think it's a great football team, but still a ranked team. And then run the table and still be in the playoff and absolutely beat nobody. The worst schedule I may have ever seen in college football is Notre Dame this year.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
It's time to rise and grind on a glorious Tuesday morning right here on the Sports Grid Network. It's Donnie Rightside. It's Joe Ranieri. The next 2 hours, we got you covered on all the hottest topics across the sports landscape. There's no doubt about that. But my goodness, we saw a Monday night football game with two capable quarterbacks, two high draft picks. Didn't look all that good for the road team, which is the Minnesota Vikings. And out of nowhere, a monster fourth quarter comeback as J.J. McCarthy gets his first win in the NFL. We'll talk Major League Baseball, like the Philadelphia Phillies, down a couple players in their lineup, having a performance from Aaron Nola that quiets the crowd 1-0. So many other hot topics to get to. A new week. We're already through. Week 1 in the NFL. How exciting was that, Joe Ranieri? The energy is high. It's a Tuesday morning. It's time to start on week number 2 and get the people the exact information that they need to start their Tuesday morning.
Yeah, and I mean, week 1 in the NFL ended the way it should, right? With everybody leaving the building, Donnie, going to bed, being like, this game blows. Yep. I'm out of here. And then all of a sudden, you wake up this morning, you're going, wait, what happened in the fourth quarter last night? That's pretty impressive, NFL. Pretty impressive.
It is pretty impressive. 28 total points scored. Just going back, I know, like, hey, the Vikings are going to keep this a lower scoring game and the Chicago Bears should be able to win it. All that was set up there in the third quarter. It just changed in the fourth quarter. So let's get to it. The 7-7, the hottest sports topics, which deals with J.J. McCarthy. He looked like, oh boy, we really messed up. Twitter was on fire last night with the tweets of J.J. McCarthy. He's not ready to be a starter. He rescued the Vikings with 21 points in the fourth quarter, which included, Joe, 2 touchdown passes and a rushing touchdown. What a performance in the fourth quarter, because the first 3 quarters, it looked like he was an undrafted rookie free agent playing football.
Yeah, no, it was, you want to talk about a tale of two halves last night. McCarthy, that Vikings offense looked like they hadn't played together ever, like any football. It was disastrous, that first half. I mean, he looked about as much of a rookie early on as you possibly could. And then he threw an absolute, face palm pick 6 where you're going, what in the world is that? Why is this guy the core? You got rid of Sam Darnold for this? And then something, whatever it was, Donnie, it clicked in the fourth quarter. And that was a totally different football team and football quarterback that we saw for the Minnesota Vikings in the fourth quarter.
17-6 entering in the fourth quarter on the road, and they completely turned the dials here on the Chicago Bears. We'll get into this game much more a little bit later in the show, but let's also talk the trade market. Already in the NFL, Tank Bigsby on his way to Philadelphia because they need more help at the running back position, apparently. But getting into the nuts and bolts of this trade, a 5th and a 6th round pick was traded to Jacksonville for Tank Bigsby. They like him on the kick return, and certainly he is a pretty good running back there. Will Shipley beat up his ribs just a little bit. Maybe he fills in. But a surprising move that came down later yesterday, Tank Bigsby to the Philadelphia Eagles here, Joe.
Yeah, and I think there'll be a couple of more of these, under the radar kind of moves as teams really start to get a understanding of what they have now. And then, of course, injuries also concerning for some of these teams. But it was clear that Bigsby had kind of fallen out of favor with the Jacksonville Jaguars. So, at 24 years old, that's a pretty good move for the Philadelphia Eagles for sure.
Yeah, see how it pans out, and you're right about Jacksonville. Travis Etienne is the go-to guy. You draft Baishul Tootin, who's a very good running back there out of Virginia Tech, and you figure that you have a guy that's expendable. You don't want to cut him. You want to get some draft compensation. That's exactly what Jacksonville did. We'll see how it works out for the Eagles and certainly in the future for the Jacksonville Jaguars. The future is now for the San Francisco 49ers, Joe, and quite frankly, they were banged up all summer long, and every single time we get news from San Francisco, it seems just to get worse and worse. George Kittle, as you saw in that game against the Seattle Seahawks, goes down with a hamstring injury. That's multiple weeks. That's probably a month down for him. But now we're hearing Brock Purdy, toe injury, shoulder injury, maybe questionable or not playing in week number 2. Man, they just can't get right in San Francisco, Joe.
No, like I said, you need to light some sage in that locker room. You need to bring in some sort of cleansing materials or something, because if you think, as easy as that schedule is for the 49ers, but if you guys think Mac Jones is going to be your savior, if you lose Brock Purdy, you're out of your mind. So let's hope that things clear up in a big way and the injuries just stop for the 49ers. Otherwise, a lot of people, let's get this win total over. Look at that schedule. Yeah, well, the schedule only works if you actually have your starters available. And right now, they might not have a few of them for the next couple of weeks.
Exactly. They are lucky they do have an easier schedule at that point, but nothing is easy if your starting quarterback is not playing. Then everybody's on the same playing field. I don't care if it's the New Orleans Saints or not. Let's get over to Major League Baseball. Last night, a huge game in Philadelphia. The Phillies held a 7-game lead heading into yesterday's game against the New York Mets. The Mets just got done shortly before that, sweeping the Philadelphia Phillies. The Phillies also placed a couple of their guys on the IR, but also at the same time, you're like, man, Aaron Nola hasn't pitched all that well. He was sensational yesterday, Joe. 6 innings pitched, 3 hits, no earned runs. This is the Aaron Nola that was expected for the Philadelphia Phillies. And by the way, on the Mets side of things, Nolan McLean, another really good start himself. 5 1/3 innings pitched, scattered 7 hits, but only gave up 1 earned run. A 1-0 victory for the Phillies that, again, Alec Boehm to the IL and also Trey Turner to the IL. That was a huge win for the Phillies to now go up 8 games in the NL East over the Mets.
Yeah, and it's funny because McLean pitched 8 scoreless innings against them a couple of weeks ago, right? Yeah. Struck out 5, 7 hits, and then he only gives up 1 run, pitched great again for the Mets. But the story of the game, it was Aaron Nola. And nobody, we're talking about a guy that was giving up, touchdowns for runs over the last couple of starts here, Donnie. It looked like, boy, the best days were behind Aaron Nola. No, at home, this guy's a gamer, and he's a playoff guy, too. So you need as many wins as you can to put this away as soon as you can, Donnie, because at that point, you can give Baum, you can give Turner the time to rest and be able to get ready for the postseason.
Dodgers with another chance at a no-hitter yesterday. At least this time they actually won the baseball game. But Glasnow was tremendous. 7 innings pitched, 1 earned run, 2 walks, and 11 strikeouts. We had 105 pitches. So he would come out. Trining comes in and holds it down the 8th inning. But then Scott came in and gave up that hit in the 9th inning, just the way it goes here. But the Dodgers still get the victory 3-1 over the Colorado Rockies.
Yeah, 9th inning again. We still have not had a no-hitter, Donnie, in Major League Baseball,
Crazy.
Which is kind of bonkers when you think about it here to this point. But Yamamoto almost gets one the other night, and then they lose the game to the Baltimore Orioles in the 9th inning. And now you got, tell me that you weren't looking at this going, oh boy, here they come. Colorado scores a run. They're going to have a no-hitter into the 9th and lose the game again, but they were able to hold on to this one.
Surprising that we haven't had a no-hitter in Major League Baseball this year with all these lower scoring totals that we see on a night-to-night basis and legitimate chances coming down to the final out, not able to get it done. The Padres down to their final out. Well, technically they walked it off in the bottom of the 10th inning for a 4-3 victory over the Reds. Key because why? The Padres looking to stay close to the Dodgers and also the Reds trying to close that gap on teams like the New York Mets. 4-3 victory for the Pods yesterday. How about that one?
Yeah, and again, Reds, you need to you need to make up some ground. You just can't be treading water here. You're running out of time. You're running out of games here. But another under, Donnie. We called it yesterday. We did. Yeah. We thought this might be a good pitchers battle. Tough spot for both teams. But ultimately, they were able to get it done, the Padres. So kudos to them.
Absolutely. And by the way, yesterday, Major League Baseball, my best bet on the show, bye. Continue with baseball over in that Minnesota Twins, Los Angeles Angels game, 15 total runs. Love to see that. Here's a tough story here. Sister of Timberwolves, Naz Reid, slain by her boyfriend in New Jersey, which isn't too far away from where I live right here. Tragedy strikes all the time here, Joe. Tough look. Hopefully Naz will be all right for this basketball season, but a lot's going to be on his mind at this point right now. It's Joe Ranieri, it's Donnie Rightside. It's a Tuesday morning. Let's get back into that Monday night football game. JJ to the rescue. Let's talk about it.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
It's the most beautiful time of the year. No, not because of foliage or pumpkin spice lattes. It's because of football. SportsGrid has you covered all season long, covering every snap, every score, and every line move. Prepare, watch, win. Weekends are for winners. Only on SportsGrid.
Remember these names: AZ Fudd, Olivia Miles, Lauren Betts. Depending on who wins that lottery, that's going to depend on who goes what. If Washington wins, it's Fudd. She's from the area. If Dallas wins, they're going to bring Fudd to play with, obviously, Paige. If Minnesota wins, I think they go Miles with the point. If Seattle wins, they go with Miles, and the same thing with Chicago.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
I was looking at through my phone at first. I'm like, why is there such a delay? And why are we getting pitch hitters right away? Oh, the pitcher got thrown out for some reason. Maybe he hurt himself. But no, turning out and seeing a brawl was absolutely hilarious to let that one play out. Just the way it is sometimes in baseball. We don't get a lot of good fights and a lot of good brawls and anger, specifically from two teams that aren't going to the playoffs. So good on them for showing that moxie last time. But it's good to see a little bit of a brawl and a little bit of that passion here.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
If a game is on the line,
give me the Navy kicker.
Oh,
the guy's going into battle in 2 weeks. He can't make an extra point. Come on.
From a mindset perspective, yeah. I'm not. Listen, we thanked them for their service. I love them. Okay.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is, if you have a bet and you have an academy kicker with a field goal or an extra point, you got to hold your breath.
27 yards. You know
27 yards. The kid shanked it from like 30.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
Monday Night Football sure didn't disappoint. I like to always start segments here and talk about betting advantages and sides, like 27-24 final. Let me tell you something here about my guy Joe Ranieri right here. We came on and had a best bet section yesterday, and bye, which we'll do it again today. You know what? I want to take the Chicago Bears for more than a touchdown. It was 17-6 into the fourth quarter. You know what? I'm going to use this teaser and take the under. I don't think we see 50 points in this game. Once again, It was 17-6 after 3 quarters. Final score, 27-24. Now, granted, it's like a bullpen blowing up in Major League Baseball, but week 1 and week 2, Joe, are so tough in the NFL to understand. Like, even me from a betting perspective, I didn't know what I was getting at J.J. McCarthy or Caleb Williams, but I said, you know what? I think Justin Jefferson's going to have a big night. His big night was 44 yards. Oh, Colston Loveland here. You know Ben Johnson loves tight ends. He's going to get a couple deep routes. 2 for 12 yards. Caleb Williams would not stay in the pocket last night and just decided to play street football half the night. And J.J. McCarthy looked like he was a horrible quarterback for 3 quarters. Joe, week number 1 in the NFL, and I'll let you start there first because your play was like, you know what? Where's my cash? The books are trying to call you on the phone saying, please take a 98% payout. We're going to lose this game. And we end up with 51 points and a victory for the Minnesota Vikings. Phew.
Yeah, and I mean, we saw it the night before, right? Sunday night with a unbelievable fourth quarter, which was just ridiculous. And, we're talking about a game, Donnie, you watching that through 3 quarters. The defenses, which we thought were the keys to the story. Nobody expected any sort of, back and forth, high-scoring affair with 2 young quarterbacks with a whole lot of newness, new offensive linemen trying to figure it out, 2 defenses that are stacked with good coordinators. And that's exactly what we got through 3 quarters. And then a 28-point fourth quarter crushed anybody's under situation yesterday, simply because whatever it was, and we've seen this young quarterback, J.J. McCarthy, got a little momentum in the running game. And then something clicked with him. Then he finds Jefferson, and it was a totally different quarterback we watched in the fourth quarter from what we were seeing in the first 3 quarters. That is not usually the MO. When a quarterback, a young quarterback struggles early, Donnie, when do you see it click by the time the fourth quarter comes with a guy playing his first NFL game? Kind of crazy what we saw, but that's the NFL, and it's back.
It really was. Like, you watch J.J. McCarthy, and you understand he's a rookie quarterback, even though he's in his second year. First real taste of the NFL, a Monday Night Football game on the road against a division rival. You know the struggles will be there through 3 quarters. And again, he threw the pick 6, like, okay, this game is going to be over. So I do credit the kid for coming back and having the mental fortitude to say, I still got a fourth quarter to play. Let's see what happens. And you know what happened? 2 touchdown passes and a rushing touchdown here to lead them to victory. So when you're taking a look at J.J. McCarthy, like, we'll go to it, man. Like, we got a little bit of J.J. McCarthy stuff right now to take a look at.
Obviously, it's huge to come out of one of these games with a win. Divisional opponent, very tough opponent. I thought they did a tremendous job and played very hard and played well. Got to give a lot of credit to the defense. They bailed us out in that first half. They were throwing a lot of things at us defensively, and defense stuck in there, and especially on the special team side too. That field goal unit, that punt return unit, Jug. I think it was 119 all-purpose yards, and that's just tremendous from a young guy like that to step up. But there's a lot of things we got to clean up. Got to be better on third down, and we're on to Atlanta now.
We see a lot of like what we saw at Michigan, like a true winner. Like, hey, it's 17-6. I'm still rookie quarterback. Let me rally the troops and have a good fourth quarter. He did that. But let's also understand, this wasn't J.J. McCarthy leading the team by throwing 47 times for 422 yards in a huge comeback. He threw the ball 20 times. He had 143 yards. Good chunk of that coming late in that football game. Didn't have a touchdown pass, the Vikings didn't even have a touchdown until the fourth quarter. But it is a rookie quarterback. It's on the road, and you are measured by successes of your wins and losses. Now, Caleb Williams on the other side, he did throw for more yards, 210, which isn't a lot. Threw a touchdown pass, didn't have a turnover. But I'm telling you right now, if I look at these quarterbacks side by side yesterday, and I see J.J. McCarthy, rookie, fighting through some things, good fourth quarter, love to see it. Caleb Williams, correct me if I'm wrong, Joe, drop back to pass, don't stay in the pocket, play street ball, and try to make some things happen. You can't do that in the NFL and have sustained successes here. So Caleb Williams, talk to me, Joe, about what you saw out of his game last night.
Well, it started off good. I mean, they seemed very calm, in control. The problem with the Bears, though, and this was to be expected, is that not a lot of success running the ball, although he had some success running the ball. I think he had 58 yards in a touchdown and 6 carries. And usually Minnesota is very good at limiting that. So give the kid credit. I mean, he held the ball instead of just holding on to the ball in the back. He took off. There were some design runs. and it worked. But when it comes to the vertical passing game and any sort of deep threat, he missed a couple of throws. There was you never felt like they were one play away from, 2 plays, 70 yards and a touchdown to he overthrew DJ Moore once. He missed Cole Kmet wide open a few times. He was a little erratic, but they figured out ways to move the ball and move the chain. But outside of that, let's not forget, 7 of those points that they scored, Donnie, were off at pick 6. Correct. So it wasn't as if the Bears offense, they scored once in the closing couple of minutes there offensively. So the Minnesota Vikings defense made the adjustments at the half and allowed that Minnesota offense to get into the game and eventually win it.
Yeah, they did. Came up with the stops there when they needed to, and certainly some opportunistic offense here, which you take advantage of some mistakes for the Chicago Bears, and away you go in that victory. Also understand this. You take a look at the Vikings, some other youngsters playing in that football game. How about Vikings first-round offensive tackle Donovan Jackson? 0 sacks allowed, 0 quarterback hits allowed, 0 hurries, and 0 pressures there. That's what you want to start. When you got a young quarterback back there, protect the guy. He was a big protector.
Oh, he was huge. And Darisaw didn't even play. He wasn't even active for the game. He's their best. He's one of the best offensive linemen in the league, and he's still recovering from the ACL injury a year ago, but they are going to get him back. We said they spent a lot of money in the offseason rebuilding this offensive line, and I think we showed why there. But let's not forget, you also can't have 127 yards of penalties if you're the Bears at home and think you're going to beat a division rival.
Nope. Usually when you say in an NFL game you scored in every single quarter, that probably is a victory. Wasn't for the Chicago Bears last night. More NFL news and notes coming up next right here on the Early Line, right here on the Sports Grid Network.
Want to play roulette? Here's a tip. European roulette has a lower house edge than American style. The lower the house edge, the better shot you have at winning. Most online casinos offer European roulette. So, if I were you, I'd get spinning. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Like it or not, 18-year-olds dropped with a whole heck of a lot of money in there. Boy, I tell you, it changes people, Donnie, and it's a new reality that we better get used to in college football, because look at the kid from UCLA, former Tennessee quarterback, making millions of dollars. You really think he cares? They got absolutely embarrassed and trounced.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
The Dallas Cowboys losing that pass rush, losing another big impact player on the defensive side, all this does is make me like Dak Prescott more and CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens more, because what we talked about all offseason, right, Matt, which is, hey, when Dak is healthy, he is a top 5 fantasy quarterback, and the defense we think is okay, but we think they're going to be in a lot of shootouts. Now I definitely think there's going to be a lot more shootouts.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
So game 1, I already made a mistake. I put my touchdown prop bets in hours ago. When you and I started talking before kickoff, I got so excited and I bet him again without even thinking that I already did it.
I
was like, yeah, Jalen Hurts. I was like, and then I was like, wait, I think I already did this. And I scrolled down. I was like, yeah, you already did do this. And I was like, oh, it's okay. That's okay.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Hour number 1 in full effect right here on the Early Line on the SportsGrid Network. It's NFL season. We love it. The NFL is going to dominate a lot of the talk here. And also, we are going to question a lot of these football teams, how they played, how their future is going to be, and more importantly, what sort of coaching tendencies are going to come up. And we square right away with the New York Giants. So you saw a performance on Sunday afternoon. The expectations were they were supposed to lose that game, roughly a touchdown underdogs against the Washington Commanders. Commanders are a better football team, but the vibes and the energy was a little bit higher than maybe what it should have been for the New York Giants entering into the season. Hey, really good preseason. Understand this. Remember when the Dallas Cowboys used to be good? And I know a lot of people don't ever remember the Cowboys because it's been thousands of years ago. They would routinely get pasted 0-4 in the preseason, then go out and rip off a couple Super Bowls here because the preseason doesn't matter. And if you're buying into the preseason for the Giants, you're like, ooh, Jackson Dart looks really good. Yeah, he's playing against guys that are probably delivering for UPS and Enterprise Rent-A-Car right now, but it's okay. He looked good. Starter, week number 1 was Russell Wilson. You got nothing out of him. But understand this, Joe, as I throw it to you. The New York Giants had to have a game plan coming into the season. And I'm pretty sure the game plan wasn't, I don't know if I want Jackson Dart starting week 1, but week 2 would be a perfect time to put him in. Russell Wilson was named starter on the season. He didn't get injured. I don't think they were going to bench him after weeks 1, 2, or 3, even how good Dart played in the preseason. There has to be a plan. And it looks like Brian Daboll is sticking to that plan now, Joe.
Yeah, and well, I think he was going to. And I think the reason he gave as to why did it take you so long to commit, I mean, he wouldn't commit right after the game that, and he was asked a whole bunch of times, are you sticking with Russell Wilson? And, and they asked him, well, why didn't you just tell us then? And he said, listen, I like to make these kinds of decisions with a clear head. And he said, after going back and watching the tape, it wasn't like it was all Russell Wilson. I mean, he was under duress a lot in that game. I mean, he had 8 carries for 44 yards. He had to throw the ball away a number of times. He was scrambling out of the pocket. I mean, he got sacked twice. So it's not all Russell Wilson had all day and he couldn't complete passes. No, he was under duress. And if Russell Wilson was under duress, what are you going to do to a rookie quarterback here in Jackson Dart? As good as he looked in, and we know the preseason, Donnie, it ain't the regular season. So I think it's you already made this plan. Stick with it. First couple of weeks, you got to get that offensive line right. Otherwise, Donnie, it won't make a difference who you have under center. They're both going to be under duress.
Yes, I understand this with the New York Giants. Some outlets had them at 3.5 team total for the season. And they look good in the preseason. Let's up that to 10 wins this year. Good luck, New York Giants. It is what it is, and we'll see what happens this week against the Dallas Cowboys. In the meantime, sticking in the NFC East, Tank Bigsby over to the Philadelphia Eagles as a backup running back and a primary kick returner. He's a pretty talented running back there. The Eagles are just looking to add on, and maybe has something to do with Will Shipley getting banged up a little bit with the rib injury that we have. But Bigsby goes to the Philadelphia Eagles in the backup capacity with Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of a win-win, right? That's insurance for Saquon Barkley if you are the Philadelphia Eagles, right? I mean, the kid's only 24 years old. He did step in for ETN with Jacksonville when he was hurt. So he's certainly more than capable here. And they felt, hey, anything happens to Saquon, we've got somebody in the backfield. In the meantime, you already know Jacksonville's offense, ETN Jr. is the guy. So, he was always going to be just a backup, but they found, another backup, another young guy that can back up ETN. So he became expendable. They get a couple of draft picks. Everybody wins, I think, in this trade.
Yes, absolutely. And by the way, I always like these stories that come out, right? Do you remember the Bills fan that, was slapping helmets and ends up getting pushed here by quarterback Lamar Jackson in Buffalo? Everybody saw it on Sunday night. It went viral. I always like this. The fan who shoved Ravens wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins and then got shoved by Lamar Jackson is banned from the Bills and NFL stadiums. So we're saying that he just can't put a hat on and go to a Buffalo Bills game or any game he wants. Like if he tries to sneak into a Vegas Raiders game, they're watching him like he's on the FBI list. I always love these stories. Stop it, man. Just stop.
Oh, Donnie, then you don't believe in face recognition, do you? Because I can assure you. Oh, yes, they do. They
grow a mustache.
Absolutely do. They will find that guy in a heartbeat. And by the way, why would you want to go to Vegas? You want to talk about facial red? They won't let you step in a casino. They won't let you step anywhere in there if you're banned in an NFL arena. No
Like
way.
you put my phone up to my face, supposed to recognize me. I put a hat on. My phone has no idea if it's Donnie, Donald, Derek on my phone. No idea. Kid, put a hat on. Enjoy your Buffalo Bills. You could probably sit right back in the first row and slap their helmets. They'd never know. More NFL talk next on the early line.
Want to play roulette? Here's a tip. European roulette has a lower house edge than American style. The lower the house edge, the better shot you have at winning. Most online casinos offer European roulette. So, if I were you, I'd get spinning. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Like it or not, 18-year-olds dropped with a whole heck of a lot of money in there. Boy,
Yeah.
I tell you, it changes people, Donnie, and it's a new reality that we better get used to in college football because look at the kid from UCLA, former Tennessee quarterback, making millions of dollars. You really think he cares? They got absolutely embarrassed and trounced.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
The Dallas Cowboys losing that pass rush, losing another big impact player on the defensive side, all this does is make me like Dak Prescott more and CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens more because what we talked about all offseason, right, Matt, which is, hey, when Dak is healthy, he is a top 5 fantasy quarterback, and the defense we think is okay, but we think they're going to be in a lot of shootouts. Now I definitely think there's going to be a lot more shootouts.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
So game one, I already made a mistake. I put my touchdown prop bets in hours ago. When you and I started talking before kickoff, I got so excited and I bet him again without even thinking that I already did it.
I
was like, Jalen Hurts. I was like, and then I was like, wait, I think I already did this. And I scrolled down. I was like, yeah, you already did do this. And I was like, that's okay. That's okay.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
The NFL never stops here. It just doesn't. It's 365, it's 24/7, and away you go. We had so much hype and so much excitement, Joe, talking about week number 1. Week number 1 is already done. And as I've said it many times, enjoy this. We're heading into week number 2. You will start to talk about weeks 14, 15, and 16 before you can know it. Playoffs, NFC, AFC championship games, Super Bowl. Oh, no. What are we going to do for March, April, May, June, and July as we wait for week number 1 again? But week number 2 is already up on some of the odds markets here. Some key games this week. The Philadelphia Eagles, a favorite against Kansas City. You take a look at the Pittsburgh Steelers taking on the Seattle Seahawks. Oh, look at that. DK Metcalf is going home. The San Francisco 49ers with a healthy advantage in the point spread against New Orleans. But how's that going to factor in with no George Kittle now? And also questions about Brock Purdy. Some good weekend games here coming up. Can't wait for it. And again, Joe, it's already week 2. It doesn't stop. The train won't stop.
Yeah, and a couple of, some trends to keep an eye on here from week 1 is that we saw the, I believe 11-3 straight up is what favorites did this week here in the NFL. You had a couple of pick'em games with Tampa and Atlanta and Minnesota and Chicago last night, but only 7-7 against the number were the favorites. Home teams 8-7 straight up, 9-6 against the number. And, of course, you had the neutral site game with Kansas City and the Chargers. But unders were the story, Donnie. 12-4 to the under this week here in the NFL. So what will we get in week 2? More defensive-driven games? How much will the numbers actually drop and adjust here with the sports books? We're going to have to see.
If you thought week number 1 was tough, your mind is going to play tricks on you in week number 2, because the old adage goes, you were never as good as you looked in week number 1, you were never as bad as you looked in week number 1, and you have to sort of level that out. Week number 3, you start to find everything like, okay, this team is decent, this team's not so good, this team likes to use a quarterback in this fashion. Oh, this running back is now the starting running back, and this wide receiver is starting to move up the depth charts here. Keep an eye on that this week. But you know what? Typically, Joe, in the NFL, they give us slop for Thursday, but we're so excited for the NFL that it's, the Carolina Panthers and the Cleveland Browns. Ooh, get excited for that. Not this week. They're giving us the Washington Commanders on the road against the Green Bay Packers. As it sits now, a 3.5-point favorite for the Packers and a total that's listed at 48.5 at most outlets. You saw week number 1, Washington with a double-digit victory over the New York Giants, and then the Green Bay Packers at home, a double-digit victory over the hated division rivals, the Detroit Lions. Home field advantage in Green Bay. What are we thinking about that 3.5-point spread as a favorite towards Green Bay?
Well, it's interesting. You're right, because both these teams had double-digit wins, right, in game 1. But let's be honest here, right? I mean, beating Detroit the way they beat Detroit is way more impressive for Green Bay than Washington beating the Giants the way they did, which they didn't particularly look great offensively like maybe everyone thought they were going to be. But, I mean, Green Bay looked like they were in midseason form. Jordan Love was just ripped apart that defense early on in that game. He was hitting receivers all over the place. The defense was really, really good against some of the big explosive guys on the Lions offense. So the Commanders were workmanlike. They did what they were supposed to do. And sometimes I don't think we look at that and give it enough credit. But on a short week here, I don't know. I think you got to give the advantage to Jordan Love and the offense of Green Bay. You know, Parsons played sparingly. You know, how much more will we see him this week? I kind of like the Packers at home to get it done on a short week.
Yeah, if I like the Packers last week, which I did against the Detroit Lions, I'm going to like them against Washington. But you are correct in one thing that you said. It's the sign of a very good coaching staff, and at least a coaching staff that understands how to win football games. You see a dead duck out there in the New York Giants. You don't need to throw it around late in the fourth quarter. You don't need to throw it around the third quarter. Just run the clock down here, get your first downs, don't make mistakes, and you win the football game comfortably. And that's exactly what Washington did. We'll find out how they do in Green Bay. Pittsburgh and Seattle. You know, take a look at this game. Darnold versus Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers, a very good week number 1 in a conquering hero role, going back to New York and getting a victory. Sam Darnold had a win on the tips of his fingers, but let it slip away because one of his offensive linemen ran into him and he dropped the football, and the San Francisco 49ers won. This game's in Pittsburgh, roughly favored by 2.5 to 3 points, depending on where you're shopping, and a lower total, Joe. 39.5 to 40.5, once again, depending where you're shopping at this week. Rodgers comes home to the Steelers, a conquering hero there as well. I actually like the Steelers again this week. I do.
Yeah, this number opened up at 3, so we're already starting to see, right, under the key number now at 2.5. And listen, Seattle, we covered that game on In-Game Live on Sunday here on the SportsGrid Network. And watching that game, and I said, wow, this defense of Seattle is no joke. But the offense, don't forget, McDonald purposely went out and got Sam Darnold, didn't want Geno Smith, and he got a new offensive coordinator. Why? Because he thought they threw the ball way too much a year ago with Geno Smith. So the emphasis was going to be defense and running the ball. Well, that's great, except you only ran for about 3.2 yards a carry. And Sam Darnold, you had him only throw for 150 yards, and you lost at home to a very winnable game against the 49ers. So to me, something has got to give there. You can't be a running football team and carry the ball for just 3.2 yards against anybody. And the Pittsburgh Steelers are not going to give up what they gave up on the ground to the Jets here. They will make the adjustments. I don't know how much the adjustments, but I'll tell you this, that's a good defense of Seattle. I think Aaron Rodgers keeps getting hit like he did against the Jets. I wouldn't be looking at an over in this game.
Yeah, see what happens out there at Acrisure Stadium this Sunday. Also another game taking place at Sunday at 1 o'clock. Same place. New York Jets home once again, but they're going to take on the Buffalo Bills. You saw that miracle comeback on Sunday Night Football. The Bills here laying a touchdown approximately just about every book. 6.5, I think, at BetMGM now, but primarily 7s, and a total that's listed at 45.5. Josh Allen, emotional victory on Sunday night against the Baltimore Ravens. The Jets feel like they let one slip away against the Pittsburgh Steelers, getting a touchdown in the division at home early in the season, Joe.
Yeah, and the Bills have owned the Jets. Let's be realistic here. I mean, I'm shocked this opened up the way it did. I mean, this will be a interesting test for the Jets, right? And this new regime and new era. What kind of bounce back effort do we get? I can tell you this, the Bills defense, when they needed to, clamped down, but they kind of got gashed a lot in that game, especially on the ground. If the Jets play keep away, it'll be interesting to see. This game may be closer than the market thinks, but right now, I mean, are you stepping in front of the Bills train? Not against the Jets. I mean, my goodness, the Jets have been crushed by the Bills over the years.
See what happens. Getting the tutty at home and the Jets starting 0-2. I mean, not really a huge surprise. Everybody probably thought that was more the case, and it looks like it might be. How about this one? We're going down to Miami. It's the New England Patriots, who didn't have a very good performance, to say the least, against the Vegas Raiders. Now the Miami Dolphins are at home. They were horrendous against the Indianapolis Colts. They open up as a short favorite now at -1.5. By the way, the opening line at FanDuel was a -2.5, so the buybacks are already coming in. 43.5 as a total in this game. Once again, the powder keg that is the Miami Dolphins. If they have another bad performance, I don't know where we go, because this team should have a reality show on what's going to take place over the next couple weeks if they start 0-2, which two opponents you probably thought they should be 2-0 against.
Yeah, I mean, it's horrific down here, Donnie. Now I'm hearing that the thought is Tua might have had a concussion during that game after getting hit early on. And obviously, we know what a concern that is. So I would definitely keep an eye out about that. But listen, Miami didn't show up in any way, shape, or form. This line has begun to drop as it is. I would not be shocked if this is a pick-em, maybe even a slight favorite for New England when it kicks off on Sunday.
This team, I mean, I don't know what to think of Miami, but that was the even worse performance that could possibly have been, where they had no-showed against the Colts, who I don't think are a very good football team, with Daniel Jones in a dome. Like, oh, well, it was outdoors. It was freezing cold. The wind was whipping around. No, it wasn't. You were in a dome in September. Good luck this weekend against the New England Patriots. More NFL week number 2 conversations coming up next. I was looking at through my phone at first. I'm like, why is there such a delay? And why are we getting pitch hitters right away? Oh, the pitcher got thrown out for some reason. Maybe he hurt himself. But no, turning out and seeing a brawl was absolutely hilarious to let that one play out. Just the way it is sometimes in baseball. We don't get a lot of good fights and a lot of good brawls in anger, specifically from two teams that aren't going to the playoffs. So good on them for showing that moxie last time. But it's good to see a little bit of a brawl and a little bit of that passion here.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
You're looking for JJ. You and I already discussed here. Addison's gone for a couple of games here. They don't have a number 3. Thielen, fine. You do have a nice tight end here. The running game could be solid here. Like I said, I don't think he'll have the least productive season of his career. If the question was how it should have been with the injuries, I might have said yes, because then it would be 88, 1,407. So then I might have said yes.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
If a game is on the line,
give me the Navy kicker.
Oh,
the guy's going into battle in 2 weeks. He can't make an extra point. Come on.
From a mindset perspective, yeah. I'm not. Listen, we thank them for their service. I love them. Okay.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is, if you have a bet and you have an academy kicker with a field goal or an extra point, you got to hold your breath.
27 yards. You know
27 yards. The kid shanked it from like 30.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
The reason why I feel like Jared Goff doesn't really enter these MVP conversations. Jared Goff last year was on the team with the best record in football, threw for 4,700 yards, 37 touchdowns, and Tom was never in the race. He was never in the race. because we know he's not that guy.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
I want Thursday night to be here right now. I want week 2 of the NFL already underway. I want Washington and I want Green Bay on my television screen so I can sit back with the popcorn, relax, bet, have some fun, and hopefully win some money. But there's a lot of games in week number 2, and some things that we love, Joe, early in the NFL season are you don't have any bye weeks. Everybody plays every week, which includes a doubleheader this weekend on Monday Night Football. Love that. A 7 o'clock game. And then a 10 o'clock game, man, talking about being up late at that point. My goodness, going to be a tough early line that next morning. But I tell you what, it'd be a tough early line for the San Francisco 49ers, Joe. Opening number this weekend against the Saints. They should kill them. It's 7.5. Uh-oh. We're now looking at 4.5s across the board. What happened here? Well, what happened is the injury bug continues to bite the 49ers. Adam Schefter sent out a tweet yesterday. Brock Purdy has a left shoulder and toe injury that make him uncertain for Sunday's game in New Orleans. Kyle Shanahan said the team will see how the practice goes. If Purdy cannot play, 49ers backup Mac Jones will be in line to start. It never ends with the Niners here. This is an easily winnable game for them, but not so easy if you show up, Joe, without your starting quarterback.
Yeah. It's funny too because this line opened up, like you mentioned, much higher than it is. But my goodness, no Brock Purdy, and you got to deal with Mac Jones. So the question is, really, in this game, did we see enough hope with New Orleans? Because they did have their chances against Arizona, by the way, at home, Donnie, to win that game. So I don't know. Do we think that maybe they can be a little bit more competitive, a little bit better than we give them credit for? Are they good enough to hang late and beat Mac Jones here? Are the 49ers really offensively just going to run all over them? I think that's a big question mark here, but I wouldn't do anything until you get a better idea on what Brock Purdy's injury is and what's happening with him.
Exactly, because that you are always a beatable team on the road to start with, and you're more of a beatable team if you show up without your best tight end and also, more importantly, without your quarterback in that game. Something to keep an eye on. We'll see where that line ends up by the time we get to kickoff on Sunday afternoon at 1 o'clock. Another game that's going to start on Sunday afternoon, that's Cleveland and Baltimore. This is an interesting one. Cleveland should have won week number 1 against the Cincinnati Bengals. Everybody's love child out there, right? But then the Baltimore Ravens had an easy victory over the Buffalo Bills, which they let slip away in the fourth quarter. I still can't believe it happened. But now you're saying, oh, they can't lose 2 in a row. They're going to be angry. Opening number, 12.5. Some outlets showing 11.5, but primarily a 12.5s are across the board, and a 45.5. Cleveland is really getting disrespected in this spot. I think obviously Baltimore is better. That's why they're favored. But are we overreacting to talking about the Ravens, are just going to be super angry, and this is a 33-6 type of ball game?
Yeah, I mean, listen, it looked like Baltimore was just going to steamroll everyone and anybody they played this year, right? And then something interesting happened. Josh Allen and a fourth quarter and a defense that fell off a cliff there for Baltimore. And when it comes to the Browns, listen, Flacco did everything he could in that game to win it, right? Yes, he had 2 interceptions. Both were off the hands of receivers for the Browns. He had drop passes. They had missed field goals, the typical things, but they were very much in that game. And they are very much more competitive, I think, than what people think. And it's a divisional rivalry, right? So I think this is a bit of an overreaction. Everyone's expecting bounce back. But to your point, Donnie, listen, you can win this game. Are you going to win it by 3 scores? I don't think so here.
I got an issue with this next game, too. 1 o'clock start, short work week here for the Chicago Bears, going on the road to take on Detroit. And Detroit certainly embarrassed with their performance in Green Bay. At home now, sold out crowd. Caleb Williams on the road. We're only talking about a 4.5-point spread, which is an eye grabber. Because for me, I look right off the bat and go, I really want to take Detroit. But is that a microcosm of week number 1 without Ben Johnson? It just didn't work out all that well. Don't worry, we'll snap back. Or is that an offense that we're looking at that just doesn't have the right play calls at the right time? But I looked at Chicago last night. It doesn't feel like a team that I want to back, even though they entered into the fourth quarter, as you know, Joe, 17-6, and just let that game slip away. Early in the week, I'm just going Detroit here. I think it makes sense, but could change later in the week for me.
Yeah, I think, listen, they showed flashes of what that offense is capable of, Detroit, but they were behind the eight ball quickly in that game. They had to play catch up. They never really had an opportunity to be able to establish any sort of ground game in there, and it ultimately ended up costing them. The good thing for Detroit, though, is that defense, and I thought that defense would be way better this year with a healthy Aiden Hutchinson and company. And yes, I think they'll have more success defensively. They will keep this close enough to eventually allow the offense of Detroit to get it done and eventually pull away.
Got to slip this next one in here. Philadelphia and Kansas City. This is the game of the week here. 425 national stage. Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, rematch of the Super Bowl last year where the Eagles absolutely dominated the Chiefs. Favorites right now, the Philadelphia Eagles. 90-degree temperatures expected in Arrowhead this weekend. Light winds and no precipitation. So it should be a good day for football and a hot one here. What are we thinking about the Birds rematch with the Chiefs?
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess Andy Reid and company on a bounce back spot at home is always dangerous. But no Rashee Rice, right? So what are we going to get now that Kelsey was nice enough to take out the only other deep threat they had there and Worthy. Oh, yeah, they still have Hollywood Brown, who had, 16 targets in that game because they didn't have anybody else that could actually stretch the field. So this could be a problem for the Chiefs early and often, but it's not like Philadelphia was in midseason form in their game against Dallas either there, Donnie. So this could be a little sloppier affair than people are used to.
It could be here, and also understand this. I have my tinfoil hat on. I have my conspiracy theories ready. And you know what's going to happen? Travis Kelce is going to tell his fiancee, Taylor Swift, I need you to make a phone call to Roger Goodell and tell him, the only way I'm performing in the Super Bowl is if the Kansas City Chiefs make it to the Super Bowl. The phone lines will ring. The bat phones will pick up. They will get all the help they can throughout the majority of the season. I'm actually surprised Jalen Carter didn't get suspended. Looks like he's just going to get fined for this one. But 2 top wide receivers down on a non-explosive offense, that's what I'm looking forward to see what the Chiefs can do. But how about that conspiracy theory, right, Joe? Taylor Swift says, I'm only playing the Super Bowl if the Chiefs get in there. Bam. 16-1 Chiefs. Here we go.
Yeah, I mean, it's stranger things have happened. Stranger conspiracy theories have happened there, Donnie. Theories. But I just don't know that, you are really short on playmakers if you're the Chiefs here. So this defense better figure it out quickly. Otherwise, it's going to be a long afternoon.
Yes, it will. I was looking at through my phone at first. I'm like, why is there such a delay? And why are we getting pitch hitters right away? Oh, the pitcher got thrown out for some reason. Maybe he hurt himself. But no, turning out and seeing a brawl was absolutely hilarious to let that one play out. Just the way it is sometimes in baseball. We don't get a lot of good fights and a lot of good brawls and anger, specifically from 2 teams that aren't going to the playoffs. So good on them for showing that moxie last time. But it's good to see a little bit of a brawl and a little bit of that passion here.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
You're looking for JJ. You and I already discussed here. Addison's gone for a couple of games here. They thoroughly have a number 3, Thielen fine. You do have a nice tight end here. The running game could be solid here. Like I said, I don't think he'll have the least productive season of his career. If the question was how it should have been with the injuries, I might have said yes, because then it would be 88, 1,407. So then I might have said yes.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
If a game is on the line,
give me the Navy kicker.
Oh,
the guy's going in the battle in 2 weeks. He can't make an extra point. Come on.
From a mindset perspective, I'm not. Listen, we thanked them for their service. I love them. Okay.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is, if you have a bet and you have an academy kicker with a field goal or an extra point, you got to hold your breath.
27 yards. You know
27 yards. The kid shanked it from like 30.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
The reason why I feel like Jared Goff doesn't really enter these MVP conversations. Jared Goff last year was on the team with the best record in football, threw for 4,700 yards, 37 touchdowns, and Tom was never in the race. He's never in the race because we know he's not that guy.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
What's up with the Dodgers? And what's up with them not being able to get no-hitters to the window? And also understand this. Sometimes you take a look at the NFL season, just like, how the heck did the Buffalo Bills beat the Baltimore Ravens? How the heck did the Minnesota Vikings end up overcoming a double-digit deficit in the fourth quarter? Like, crazy things happen. But the first Dodgers no-hitter look in the past week was, we're down to the final out. I'm going to throw a no-hitter. We have a multi-run lead. And before you know it, you lost the baseball game. Forget about the no-hitter. And it happened again last night, but the Dodgers won the game 3-1. But the Dodgers were going to throw a no-hitter until they weren't. No Major League Baseball no-hitters in 2025 as the Dodgers continue to try their best. But they did get the win. Glasnow was very good. Ohtani, another base knock. I thought Freeman would get an RBI yesterday at a plus 115 price, and he did. The Dodgers win a low-scoring game over the lowly Rockies, who sit, Joe, at 40-104 with 3 weeks left to play.
Yeah, their 104th loss,
40.
which I believe is now a franchise record. It's the third straight season in which they have had 100 or more losses. And what? They've lost now 10 of 12, but wow, they could have had a no-hitter thrown against them, but they did. How they even scored a run early in this game, which was hilarious, Donnie, without a hit, is so typically Colorado. But again, Scott comes in. And this was the guy that was supposed to be the big acquisition. He was great last year when they got him from the Marlins. Remember, he was supposed to come in. He was going to be the closer. He was going to be It is not, even in situations like this against the Rockies, he couldn't even get the door closed. He ends up giving the hit. So just not good. But if I'm the Dodgers, just be thankful you won the game, because your last time of almost having a no-hitter with 2 outs in the ninth, it didn't work out well for you against Baltimore.
I'll tell you what's crazy, too, is you take a look at like some of those scores that they have, and it's like, okay, well, no-hitter this. But if you did throw a no-hitter, right, you get the baseball and you see like the box score, and like for generations, you'd be like, hey, I threw a no-hitter against the Rockies. Like, how come they scored 1 run, though? Like, you can't even explain. Like, you want the 0-0-0 up there on the box score to easily explain what happened. Even the error throws it off. It's like, why did that other team get an error and actually mess up the box score? Is what it is. Maybe the Dodgers throw a no-hitter tonight. Could be. Maybe not. Red Sox, 7-0 victories over the Athletics. Why is that big? Everybody scores runs out in Sacramento, just not the Athletics last night. The Red Sox 7-0 winner. How about this? Garrett Crochet picks up his 15th win of the season, 101 pitches, 10 strikeouts, no runs, no walks, no home runs, 2.57 ERA. Big time start for the Red Sox as they get, Joe, their 80th win of the year.
Yeah, gotta love that. Big job by Crochet against a Athletics team that has actually been very, very good in the second half, and they've been very good against lefties. And Crochet, he's had a handful of starts where you kind of scratch your head a little bit, but not last night. He goes into a hitter's ballpark and just mows down these Athletics. And the Red Sox, kudos, got back on track. That's a big win. They needed that one last night.
Yu Darvish had 5 2/3 innings pitched yesterday, 3 earned runs. Nick Lodolo, 5 innings pitched, 2 hits, no earned runs. Guess what? The Padres won. Joe Ramirez told you time and time again on this program, watch out for that Reds bullpen. Barlow comes in, 2/3 of an innings pitched, 3 earned runs, and away you go to a loss. Padres pick up a big win here, and the Reds can't afford much more losses here trying to track down those New York Mets.
Yeah, when it was Jackson Merrill coming in, a big 2-run triple, 2 outs in the 6th inning. And then it was a battle from there. But ultimately, in a tie game late, Donnie, Padres bullpen versus the Reds bullpen, that was a huge live bet opportunity last night.
Absolutely. And by the way, last night closing out a all-team total parlay for me. I needed the Mariners just to get 3 runs, Joe. They scored 4. Congratulations. They beat Miles Michaelis and the boys. And no surprise, this game probably stayed under the total, as a lot of them do in Seattle. And also, a lot of games lately, teams struggling to get to that 5th run, Joe.
Yeah, no, big time. Those Monday games, Donnie, especially with a lot of teams traveling east to west, west to east, kind of hard to expect, slugfest at a lot of these spots. And we didn't get them last night. And Seattle did not score as many runs last night as they had the previous 2 nights in Atlanta.
Logan Webb didn't get a lot of help from the defense. 6 innings pitched, 4 runs given up, only 1 of those earned, but the bullpen did come down and shut it down. And those San Francisco Giants bats come to life in an 11-5 victory over the Diamondbacks.
Yeah, with Webb on the mound and 16 runs at that ballpark, a dead under ballpark. Interesting, but way to bounce back after a couple of tough losses against St. Louis for the Giants.
That's baseball here. Hour number 2 is on the way. The hottest topics, more NFL talk. You guessed it, and you got it. Right here on the early line on the SportsGrid Network.